What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about what the heck is going on in the auto market. I was gone for just a few days. We're in used car week in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I came back and Jaguar set the internet on fire. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more, so let's get into it. Now, it's no secret that Jaguar literally set the internet on fire with their commercial. I don't know what they were trying to do, make a statement, do something bold, something crazy, but unfortunately, it was an epic flop. People didn't know how to take this. Was this a rebranding? Was this some sort of message? What's going on? Elon Musk texting back people, do you even sell cars? Absolutely hilarious. And unfortunately, they always try to do something different to create a new branding, to do some sort of awareness, and usually bold statements are rewarded with a lot of controversy, which is positive in their feeds. But this type of controversy is definitely not positive for Jaguar. Now, if you guys didn't already know, Jaguar is suffering big time from sales. Supposedly, they stopped all their manufacturing because they got over a year's supply at a lot of dealerships. They're not really selling cars. That's why every Waymo you see is a Jaguar F-Pace. And so it's going to get a lot worse for Jaguar, I think, going ahead. And because of their crypto messaging, it's probably not going to help them that much as well. So I'm going to talk a little about Used Car Week. This is a major event for dealerships, bankers, and everybody else where we all get together, we talk about the market currently, what's going on, and sharing ideas and everything else. And the two big hot topics were basically remarketing, which is companies that actually go out and track down repos and help banks find their collateral, and actual marketing itself. How do we get more eyeballs on their vehicles? Now, two of these platforms have been long forgotten because of what's happened in the last few years. Basically, all the rock stars came from loan origination on the bank side. They didn't really care about collections. They just wanted to sell as many loans as possible and get many people as they can in the vehicles. Dealerships follow the same suit. Everybody knew there was a shortage of cars. Dealerships had never an easier time to selling cars. All these rock star sales guys you used to see on Facebook and TikTok, they're all gone now because you actually have to be a real salesman to sell a car in a downed economy. And that brings us to all the stuff that we discussed at Used Car Week. A lot of dealers were talking about how they're doing about anywhere from 60 to 40% of their sales from the previous years. And it's starting to worry them because unfortunately, lifestyle creep is a big thing even for businesses. When you're selling all these cars and making all this gross, you tend to add more people, build bigger facilities, add more overhead, get more cars, and basically add on all these crazy softwares you don't need. And unfortunately, dealers are starting to thin down and lean out. They're letting go of all the salespeople that are basically not selling cars. They're getting rid of all their marketing people because they can't afford the overhead. They're getting rid of a lot of the softwares that they don't really need because it's not benefiting them. And they're going back to the basics. How do we actually get rid of this overpriced cars? And how do we sell more cars the more traditional way? So it was kind of refreshing to hear from multiple dealers that they're finally accepting that the market is not great. Now, I've talked about this for almost the last year and a half. People literally in denial. Oh, the market's great. The market's perfect. Everything is fine. It literally reminds me of 2008 when everybody was like, oh, everything is fine. There's no problems. Houses only go up. They never go down. And then the market just explodes the next week. I believe that's where we're at right now with the auto industry. From what all the dealerships told me was the exact same story, no matter how big, how small, what part of the country they were all suffering from slow sales. On top of that, a lot of the bankers said that they weren't allowed to do a lot of the programs, which we've been talking about, and a lot of them pulled back. Now, some banks did open up a little bit because of the news of the new president coming in, and they seem to be a little bit more receptive to how the economy is going to be performing. But there are still a lot of banks that are worried overall that we're too far down the rabbit hole and the economy is going to tank. They just don't know when, and that's what we're all banking on. We don't know. I'm sure you guys have been watching crypto. Crypto basically skyrocketed, people losing their minds. They keep saying if the economy's bad, why is the market so great? And like I said, this totally reminds me of 2008. Everybody was, living the dream, pumping the stocks, getting lines of credit, buying Bugattis and Bentleys and thinking everything was great. And then it just one day just stopped. So unfortunately, we don't know when the music has stopped, but it was kind of refreshing to see dealers and bankers accept currently what's going on and realize they got to do some real changes to make different things happen. Now, when it comes to the dealership side, I was very surprised to hear a lot of dealerships investing in software that gave them market reports. Now, dealers live and die by analytics, and this is a good thing for consumers as well as dealers. If they're looking in their areas and cars are selling for under what they're selling them for, let's say they post a car for $30,000, but all the ones in their market are $25,000, it's going to tell them that their car is priced too high. They need to drop the pricing to match the market, so this way they can sell that car a little bit faster. And there's even percentages. If you price it at this price, it'll sell 90%, if you price it at this price, it'll sell 95%. And if you guaranteed sell it at this price, it's going to sell 100%. Now that they're looking at more ways to be more flexible with the market, it is a good sign. A lot of the software that was there was getting pushed out was software to help basically restructure their financing and also help them on the sales side when it comes to sales prices, because a lot of people didn't know how to do books. They didn't learn the traditional way like a lot of us did. And so they just priced stuff stupidly because there was somebody out there to buy it. But now you got to be a real buyer and a real seller to price cars correctly, so this way banks will buy them. If you price your cars too much, you lose out on sales. Every month that goes by, your car goes down in value. Also, if you price your cars incorrectly and you submit it to a bank, the bank will kick back the deal until you know. Sometimes they'll tell you why. The car price is too high. The customer's not enough. Sometimes they don't say anything. They just say no. And if you keep sending that car to them, they're just going to start ignoring your bids and they're not going to approve any of your deals. And so it was kind of funny to see the alarm bells go off in a lot of dealers' heads. So this is a good sign, like I said, of dealers accepting what's going on and hopefully moving forward. Now, I do have to be transparent. These dealers that showed up to this convention are very forward, very basically future-based thinking dealers. They're more clever than, I guess, your average dealer. So I think these people that came to that event are going to be much more successful compared to a lot of these guys that didn't, because they're still thinking that the economy's fine. They don't need to do anything different with their business practices. They're going to sell enough cars as is. Now, the banks, like I said, it's been a complete 180. It was all about loan origination. Now, we developed our software, Loan Bridge. If you guys haven't looked, I'll leave a link in the description. We were banking on the economy tanking, basically people walking away from their cars like they walked away from their house in 2008. Why pay $60,000 and all these crazy high interest rates for these cars when you can buy the exact same car today for $40,000? So now we're already seeing it. We're seeing people walk away from their cars, people that can't afford their cars. They may have been able to afford them in 2020, 2021 when their car payment was $1,000, but their rent was $1,500 and their insurance was $300. Today, their car payment's still $1,000, but now their rent is maybe $2,500 and their car insurance is now $600. So everything is pretty much doubled. Inflation caught up with everybody. This is why we tell everybody the traditional lending is based on DTI, which is debt to income. And this is why it plays such a big factor, because we plan on things like inflation, unemployment, and other bills to come along with it. Now we're paying for all the bad paper that's coming forward. So banks recognize this and they're willing to be more open when it comes to lending. Now, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? To be honest with you, it depends on your credit and your down payment and your situation. If you have good credit and you're looking for a good deal, you're probably going to get it now and then the next few months because, like I said, sales are slowing down. Banks want tier 1 credit to offset all their bad debt. So they're willing to lend more for people that are more stable, better jobs, longer credit history, stuff like that. Now, if you have challenge credit or bad credit, or you don't really have a lot of money down, it's going to get a lot harder for you to buy a car, especially if you already own a car and you're upside down. Now, I remember telling everybody the word of 2024 was going to be negative equity, and nothing could have rang truer when we were going through this conference. Every banker, every dealership, everybody I talked to was absolutely blown away by how much negative equity there was. Now, this is everybody's fault. I'm not going to blame the banks. I'm not going to blame the dealerships. I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to blame all you guys, because it takes basically 3 to tango in this stance. Nobody forced you to sign the car. Nobody told you to overpay for it. And the banks didn't tell anybody to go ahead and lend that much money. So everybody is to blame. But now that they see this, they realize that, they basically robbed their future sales for the next 2 to 3 years. So banks can outwait it. They're basically planning on still lending and slowly trying to outrun their bad paper. But dealers, a lot of these dealers can't wait. So that's why I think they're getting more aggressive when it comes to pricing and sales. But it's fairly interesting. Like I said, the auto market has kind of done a 180 as far as thinking wise. So that's a good thing. So my advice for you guys today is, if you're looking at buying a car, start doing your investigation as far as financing. I think the biggest key is finding a good deal at a local bank or credit union, somebody that's going to work with you and give you the best rates and the best terms. I think once you lock those down and you go with a check in hand to these dealerships, more than likely you're going to get a better deal. And if you are going to be going on like Car Gurus and Auto Trader and all these other ones, always search for longest or most aged vehicle, the vehicle that's been there the longest. The longer it's there, the more likely they are to give you a deal. If the car just came out, more than likely they're going to say no. Now, what I recommend doing is typing. You call them, you email them, and if you can get a text from the sales guy, do that as well. Type in, take a picture of the cashier's check or your approval letter. I have approval for $30,000 for this Toyota Camry that I want to buy at this price. You get me here. I will show up tomorrow. Here's the check. Here's the approval. let's make it happen. Be very, very stern on what you want, and also let them know that you're willing to make it happen if they can meet you halfway. This is the big problem I have with people is right now everybody's crying, and I know they're gonna be in the comment section, it's still too expensive. Okay, if they showcase the car for, let's say, $40,000, and you call them and you're like, hey, I want to buy that car, the one you have for $40,000. Yeah, I want to offer you like 35. They're going to tell you no because you're on the phone. You're not a serious buyer. That's why I tell you, you call, you email, submit a formal offer, and you text them. You do all the things to let them know. If somebody text messages me, emails me, and calls me, more than likely they are a well-qualified buyer that's very serious about purchasing this car. On top of that, when you send them the approval letter or the copy of the cashier's check, they know that you mean business, and more than likely you're gonna get some sort of feedback back. But just because you call somebody and ask for a lower price does not mean you're gonna get one. It is in their job and their best interest to say no. They're always gonna act like that car's hot and we got so many people on it, which is more than likely just absolute bullshit. Those cars are sitting there, you know it, I know it, they know it. Now we just gotta come prepared with no bullshit. Here's the money, here's this. You want to make it happen? If they say no, that's fine. Move on to the next one. Don't cry about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving forward. Make as many calls as you can. Don't be afraid to travel outside of your area. I could not believe how many people at this conference were talking about how they were cheaper in their state, but people refused to drive 2-3 hours or even hop on a plane and fly with a 2-hour flight, but they would save thousands of dollars. So one dealership in Dallas, Texas could be selling a Ford F-150 for, $6,000 more, but maybe an hour and a half away, there's one for literally at MSRP. They refuse to fly there because they don't want to, save that much money. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why. People are complaining prices are too high, but they don't want to do it. I literally drove across country, traded in my Mercedes to get a deal on my Audi R8. Even when I bought my G-Wagon that I'm building now, my 6x6, I literally drove to California with a trailer to pick my car up and bring it back. And what I told you I did is exactly what I just told you right now. I sent him a copy of my cashier's check, my approval, my actual bid, and I told him I could be down there in as little as 4 hours if you can make it happen. It took about maybe a day for the manager to get back to us, but they approved the deal, they accepted my bid, and we were able to get the car for almost $6,000 back of what they were advertising it for. Because like I said, it is their job to put the top dollar on it, but I checked that this car was at the dealership for over 6 months, and I knew that they had some wiggle room. They had to let it go. They probably gave the customer some trade-in allowance, which, was maybe a good customer, and a G-Wagon at an actual Honda store is probably not the greatest thing. So I knew that that was my demographic. That's where I wanted to go because more than likely I would get the best deal. Now, when it comes to Jaguar, if you're looking for a crazy lease, I bet you they're going to offer some insane leasing or some sort of crazy pricing because, like I said, they set the internet on fire, pissed a bunch of people off. People don't know what the hell the message means. Is it good? Is it bad? Is there some secret, message behind it? Pfft, who knows? But I think they totally biffed this one and totally screwed up. And even the Jaguar font, it looks like something you would get off of like your old Microsoft computer if you're just like going through Sanskrit and saying, yeah, this is what I want to choose. So I think it was an epic failure. I really like Jaguar. I was hoping they would make a comeback. Somebody would buy them and really put the attention to them because they went from being a premium brand to now a joke, which really sucks. And I really hope they can make it their way back because, like I said, I do like Jaguars. The XK8 and the XKR are like one of my favorite cars, especially if you want to act like a baller on a budget. It's a great car. And the XJ220 is one of my dream cars, which hopefully I'll be able to own one day. If you guys don't know what that is, Google it. It's an amazing car. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please put in the comment section below what you guys think of Jaguar's campaign and also what you think of the auto market. Like I said, everything has been absolutely crazy these last few months, and it's slowly starting to feel like it's a buyer's market. So we're not there just yet, but I can feel that we're on the cusp of it. So anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please tune in next week. I got a bunch of fun stuff planned. And also, go back, watch all my SEMA builds. I got a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to be working on our new SEMA car coming up next year. I'm going to be finishing the 6x6. It's finally out of paint, thank God. So make sure you stay tuned because, like I said, I love talking to you guys about the automotive industry, but I also love building cars. I also love educating and teaching people. So I have some new stuff coming up too, where we're actually going to be traveling to dealerships to do training, how to buy cars, how to sell cars, how to fix cars, do everything in the auto industry. So stay tuned.